are so thankful for all the creatives in Arizona. Hi, I'm Laurie Fagen, and welcome to AZ Creates, a web series about the many artistic people right here in the Grand Canyon State. On today's show, meet doll maker and resin artist Mary Poindexter in our Creative Connection segment. And in What Are You Reading, we'll talk to sci-fi writer, and that's PSI-fi writer, William X. Adams. We will highlight the Arizona Mystery Writers Nonprofit, and we'll have plenty of upcoming arts events in Something to Look Forward to. All straight ahead. AZ Creates is sponsored by Mary Contreras State Farm Insurance. A longtime supporter of the arts, Contreras offers insurance for autos, homeowners, renters, personal, business, life, and health, plus annuities and mutual funds. Located in Tempe, contact Mary Contreras through her website at marycontreras.com. In today's Creative Connections segment, we want to introduce you to Mary Poindexter, a fabric doll maker and resin artist. Welcome to AZ Creates, Mary.
Thank you, Laurie, for having me.
You were one of our fantastic artists at Art on Boston Gallery, a contemporary art gallery that I co-owned, about 10 years or so ago. And I remember you saying you never met a craft you didn't like. When and how did your art begin?
Well, I've been making things. I didn't know to call it art, but when I was a young child, I've been making things around the house with all kinds of found objects. Whatever was discarded, I could find a use for making something with it. I got a ball of yarn from the Goodwill, and I made my first doll out of yarn, not knowing anything about what I was doing. But it's like I didn't draw, but I could put things together. I could find things and find uses for them to make them what I call pretty.
And then you said you also did a lot of and sewing your own clothes during that time, right?
Yes, I taught myself how to sew when I was about 12 years old. I saw lots of pretty clothes in the stores, and I couldn't wear what I was seeing. And once I learned that I could go to a fabric store and buy fabric with my babysitting money and start making my own clothes in the colors, the bright, pretty colors that I really like, I taught myself by trial and error how to sew. I got books from the library on sewing and read newspaper articles on sewing, and asked for help from friends and family that sewed to help me through certain things that I didn't know how to do.
Right. And I would assume then that also went into your doll making then, by the time you got proficient on making your own clothes. And you continued on the doll making. What attracted you to the dolls at that point?
Well, it was in a fabric store that I first got interested in the doll making. I was in there on a Saturday morning buying fabric, and there was a group of ladies in the back, and I heard them laughing and seemed to be having a great time. So I went to the back of the store to see what was going on. And they were making dolls. And I just automatically said, okay, where do I sign up for this? Because this is something that I really want to do. And that's how I got into doll making. And the first doll making class I had, we were grown women, but we were dancing the dolls across the table like little kids, like 6-year-olds. And I found out that you can't look at dolls without smiling. There's something about dolls that makes everybody smile.
That is so true. And you can see a lot of your dolls around you, and we're going to take a look at them in a minute here, because you have had your doll art published in magazines at least 4 times. You've had your fiber art featured at the Vision Gallery and Chandler Center for the Arts. So let's talk about some of your beautiful creations. This first one is called Aisha. Tell us about the fabrics and how you created her.
Well, Aisha has a long story behind her, because sometimes I'll start a doll and I'll get a basic doll made and I like it, but something's not quite exactly what I want. And so I'll put it to the side, and from time to time I'll look at it and pull it out. And more recently this year, I pulled it out again, and I decided to make her a new outfit and put new jewelry on her. And I just by the time I finished, I had a doll that I know I would never get rid of. I would never sell, because it shows the progress that I made from the beginning up until now.
She is definitely special. How about Fulani? Another beautiful one.
I was involved, as you know, with a quilt group called Mavericks, and they were painting and designing on fabric. And that's when I really started painting fabric, dyeing fabric, and making sure that the doll was original from the fabric all the way up. The clothing gives a nod to what I did when I was a young kid making my own clothes. And jewelry making is something that I got along the way, and I started making jewelry. So that doll has pretty much all the things that I had learned about fabric and about jewelry and about making a doll face. All of that came together in that doll. And I love the African theme of working with fabrics and working with people that look like me, because often when I was a kid, we didn't have anything that looked like that.
That is so true. And this next one also has some special fabrics in it. Tell us about how you created Ebony.
Okay, well, Ebony is a doll that I made. I got attracted to authentic African fabric, and I bought a piece, and that fabric is not really inexpensive, but I loved it so much. I bought that piece, and I initially thought I would make it into some kind of a garment for myself. But as the years went on, it's like, no, I need to make a doll, because this doll really needs to be a statement piece. So that is authentic African patchwork fabric. And I was learning how to do, at that time, doll faces and dyeing fabric and all of that. And so she's one of my statement pieces. I've had her. She's been shown in several magazines. And like I said, some of them, they'll be hard for me to part with, and she's one of them.
Yes, it is hard to sell some of those very special pieces, for sure. Now, you have come full circle with your resin work, a totally different medium. When I first met you, and you said you've been doing some resin work for almost 20 years, but it's totally different from what you're doing now. Tell us about the differences between when you started as to now, and the types of resin work that you're doing now.
I only knew resin, and I was pretty much self-taught in a lot of the resin work too. But I love to make jewelry, and resin had such a high shine and sheen to it that when I started to putting resin on my pieces, they just really popped. And I sold a lot of jewelry, and I did some larger pieces, but mostly it was flat surfaces.
And like the jewelry that you have on right now, tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, this is one of the first pieces that I did, and I really, really loved the dimension that you could get with resin, even flat pieces, when you added other elements to it. And it's an African theme too. There's a giraffe here, and just playing around with paint and resin. And most of the time, I don't draw out anything. I just intuitively know what's going to work and what colors I like together and what flows together. And the resin, like I said, just makes everything really pop. Well, recently, I found a woman online from Australia who was doing sculpture with resin. And I immediately was overjoyed with that, because I always knew that there was something more to resin than just doing flat surfaces. And through her YouTube channel and the Facebook channel, I learned how to manipulate the resin in ways that I wound up with vases and bowls and other sculptures.
And let's take a look at a piece that just looks like some ocean waves, right? Tell us about that.
Right. Well, one of the classes that the woman offered was how to do a water theme. And I was just so excited about it. I tried it a few times before I finally got something that I thought I could really love. And using different objects when the resin is still in a malleable form, you can put it over different things to get the shape. And so when it looks like the water coming up, it's actually in reverse. You turn it upside down and the resin would drip down, and that's what formed the water.
I see. That is so interesting, the way that worked. You had spent a lot of your time as a classroom teacher, too, in the Detroit public system for some 31 years. You did have also taught some art classes as well. Is that right?
That is right. I started off in early elementary school. And in early elementary education, you teach everything. You teach reading and writing, the basics. But then there's always time for arts or crafts. And I really gravitated toward that. And the kids really loved it. And it was kind of a reward. You know, when we got our work done, then we could really do other things that they thought of as play. But it was a very creative outlet for the children. And I enjoyed it, too.
And that's a great way to sneak in your love of art and crafts as well, I'm sure. So, Mary, how has the pandemic affected you and your art and your life right now?
Well, you know, Laurie, I found that artists are some of the most generous people. And going online on Facebook and YouTube, I've connected with other artists who we're all going through the same thing right now. Some of them are in other countries and some of them are in other cities and states. And this is how we get through the pandemic. It's like, okay, if I can create something, when the media world becomes too real, then you can turn that off and you can tune in. And there are many artists that are willing to share techniques and share classes, and you get a chance to post your work and you can get critiques if you desire. And people are willing to share materials with you and ideas. And I sometimes spend a long day. Instead of watching what's going on in the world around me, I go to my artistic world and spend that time there. And it really is therapeutic.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of people I've heard that same thing from, and we're like really glad to be artists during this crazy time too. And you know, a lot of my groups are finding out that the teachers aren't traveling right now either, but they're at home and they're available. So we're getting teachers from literally across the country that we wouldn't have been able to hire, you know, in the past. So that is great. Mary, thank you so much. It has been great talking to you and catching up with you again. You can find Mary Poindexter on Facebook. You'll find some portrait drawing that she's also doing currently. And she's working on getting more of her dolls and her resin work on her Facebook page so they can find some new homes, because Mary has a lot of ideas for some new dolls and some new resin pieces that she wants to do, right?
Right. And so thank you.
Thank you for being on AZ Creates today.
And thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Our author segment is next. Don't go away. AZ Creates is sponsored by Sibley's West, the Chandler and Arizona gift shop in historic downtown Chandler. A strong supporter of Arizona creatives, Sibley's West features work from more than 200 artists specializing in Arizona items and souvenirs, including art, pottery, food, jewelry, and much more. Now open at 72 South San Marcos Place in Chandler, online shopping is also available with convenient and safe curbside pickup. Visit www.sibley'swest.com for details. We have a science fiction writer as our featured guest on What Are You Reading? But instead of SCI-Fi, William X. Adams spells it PSI-Fi. Let's find out why. Hi, Bill. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Laurie. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. Say, most would agree that words are very important to authors, but especially for you. You spent a good deal of your career as a cognitive psychologist who did scientific research on human memory and perception at Wisconsin and Cornell. And then you taught psychology, critical thinking, and statistics at several universities. So tell us the reasoning behind why you spell SCI as PSI-Fi.
PSI is a Greek letter, and it stands for psychology. So sci-fi is psychological fiction in a technological context, and that's what I try to do in my stories. I write about aliens and robots in these stories, and it's really a contrast to the humans. So like if you had a robot that was just like a human, except it had no intuition, how would that show up in a story? It's not about the robot, it's about the human. So that's the kind of stuff that I do.
Interesting. That's great. Well, and so you did leave academic life then for the computer industry to find out more about how the mind is like a computer. And I just finished reading your Reluctant Android from your first trilogy, which is about a software engineer who discovers that he's a robot. And the theme is played out in that as well. So what did you discover about our brains and our connections to computers?
Well, first, thank you for reading Reluctant Android. I appreciate every single reader, so thanks. Absolutely. But the thing about the computer is that some academics think that the mind is like a computer. It's the software that runs on the hardware of the brain, if you will. So I decided to find out if that's true, and I don't know if I should give away the answer. It's not true. The mind is not like a computer. And why? It's because of creativity, intuition, empathy. Computers don't have that, and so they'll never be as intelligent the way we are. They can be dangerous, but they'll never have human intelligence. I don't say all this. I don't say that in my novels.
Well, yeah, because there are a lot of computers that are getting pretty darn smart, that's for sure. So in your second series, you explore the meaning of embodiment. So tell us the premise of Alien Body and how the mind and the body are really connected.
First, if I knew how the mind and the body were really connected, I would have a Nobel Prize by now. So what I can do is just explore the question. And in Alien Body, my favorite alien, his name is Fane. He's an alien stranded on Earth, and he needs to get back to his crashed spaceship and escape. And the thing about him is he looks like a large green tennis ball. He has arms and legs and two tentacles on the top of his head with eyeballs. And Dave is a physician, and he finds this alien hiding in his summer cabin. And they talk after the initial shock of it all. And Fane says that your body determines how your mind works. And that's why his mind is different from a human mind. And for example, he says, because he's got these eyeballs on his top of his head, he can see every direction at once. But we can't see anything behind the plane of our eyes. So you can't see anything behind your head. It's like half the world is missing. And if you turn your head, half the world is still missing. You'll never see half the world. It's always a black spot.
Interesting.
And Fane says, I don't know how you people can live like this. And so that's, basically the setup. And Fane escapes, and there's bad guys after him. But, it's hard for him to hide since he's a talking tennis ball.
There must be just a wee bit of humor in some of that, I could imagine. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Alien Body and read a segment from your book, which is the first in the Fane series.
The setup is for this little scene. This is just a little random scene. Fane's on the run, and he's disguised himself as a sort of a roly-poly child. You know, he has clothes on and he has a big hat with his tentacles curled up inside. And he claims he wears green sunblock, you know, it's extreme sunblock. So anyway, in this scene, he's with Janice, who's a secondary character, and at her apartment, and she thinks he's a runaway child, which she was once, and she's trying to help him out. So anyway, it's morning, and she says, Fane, come on out. We need to get you over to social services this morning. Fane pulls the sheet aside. His eye stalks arced toward Janice. She stood paralyzed. Holy Mother of God. She dropped to her knees and rocked, sobbing, Jesus, save me. Jesus, save me. Fane got up and dressed. He curled his eye stalks into ram's horns and put the hat on. Then he said, Good morning, Janice. She looked up and she said, Fane, that was you, wasn't it? Are you a monster? And he says, I am unable to change what I look like, Janice. She says, yeah, I hear that. Take your hat off. I want to see. Fane removed his hat and unfurled the eye stalks. They shook lightly, and the big eyeballs pointed at Janice. Janice brought a hand to her mouth, but she didn't turn away. I'll be cast into hell, she said. You're no little boy. It's a long story, Janice. She says, it's my day off. She crossed her arms over her chest. Hey, so that's Fane meeting Janice.
That's great. That's great. Well, and again, it does address that whole issue of what people see when they look at you. Don't judge a book by its cover. Type of thing, right? So going a little bit further, that's good. Bill, you do write under the name of William X. Adams. Why is that?
Well, the X is silent. The X is distinctive and it's searchable. Bill Adams is a real common name. So an author needs, a serious name that you can find on the internet, and maybe it stands for Xerxes. I don't know. It's just an X. So
there you go. There you go. Sounds good. So we've all been in this crazy time with the pandemic. How has the pandemic affected you and your writing?
I've stayed pretty much in my house all the time. Don't go out much. And, Zoom, Netflix. I mean, it's not that bad. But the thing I notice is there's an anxiety all the time. And when you try to write, there's this anxiety that says, the world is not right. And so when you have this fear, it inhibits your creativity somehow. So it's hard. In the afternoons, I stop writing and I listen to tunes on Spotify and try to transcribe them for guitar. I mean, that's what I do. It's easier.
Good.
It's fun.
There you go. That's good. And you do have your music then to fall back on and help you through these crazy days as well. Now, Bill, you're also chair of the Arizona Mystery Writers. And we've selected that organization as our featured nonprofit this episode. So we'll be watching for more information about that in just a few minutes. But just briefly tell us about the group and how you got involved in it.
Well, thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. It's a club, it's like a social club. And we're mostly mystery writers. Some people are just enthusiastic readers of mysteries. And we meet once a month and we talk about our favorite books and stories and maybe sometimes problems what we're having while we write. We have about 55 members. They're all over the state. And we meet on Zoom. We used to meet in a hotel and have lunch, and someday we will again. But for now, it's on Zoom. And it's a lot of fun. The conversations can be pretty wide-ranging, and I enjoy it quite a bit.
Good, and I have been involved with it as well, and I've enjoyed it a lot too, meeting some new people. And to be honest, I appreciate not having to make the drive to Tucson. So Zoom works out really well for me right now. And you can get more information about Bill Adams or William X. Adams through two websites. One is williamxadams.org or through his publishing imprint at Sci-Fi Books. That's PSIFI Books.com. Thanks again for being on our show today, Bill.
Thanks, Laurie. It's been a hoot. Thank you. Bye.
Great. I'll see you on Zoom soon. Our featured nonprofit arts organization and lots of upcoming arts events are next. Stick around. AZ Creates highlights Arizona mystery writers. For those who enjoy reading or writing mystery novels or are interested in how they are written, check out Arizona Mystery Writers. The nonprofit has been promoting mystery writing in Arizona for more than 20 years. Some members are well-known published authors, while others are only beginning the writing journey. Arizona Mystery Writers meets the second Saturday of each month at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, currently on Zoom. Meetings are free and open to all mystery writers and readers. Find out how to attend by visiting the organization's website at arizonamysterywriters.com. As the holidays approach, we've found music, theater, art talks, gallery shows, and much more for kids and adults and all around the state. Here's AZ Creates co-host Cathy Beard with details.
From Native American art and watercolor to traditional holiday stage productions and early holiday shopping, there's a lot of art events going on all around Arizona. The second annual Indigenous Art Show will be held online only through November 24th, with handcrafted items by Native artists from the Southwest region. Included will be pottery, basketry, carvings, and jewelry, with a special selection of Tohono O'odham basketry by Della and Fred Cruz, along with more than 100 baskets from other Tohono O'odham weavers, including vintage collectibles. You will also find Mata Ortiz pottery, Hopi carvings, Taruhu Maru basketry, Navajo pottery and rugs, Pueblo pottery, and Navajo and Zuni sterling silver jewelry. Visit nativeseeds.org for more. Help support the Desert Foothills Library in Cave Creek at its 11th annual Holiday Craft and Bake Sale from 10 to 3 on Saturday, December 5th. There's free admission to do holiday shopping, enjoy treats and coffee, and hear live music. For details, visit dfla.org and click on the calendar. Handmade holiday decorations and ornaments are just some of the finds at the Angels 2 Marketplace in Tucson, December 5th and 6th. You will also find wood art, metal and paper art, handmade knitted and crocheted items, baked goods, and candles from more than 50 vendors. It will be held indoors at the La Paloma Academy with free admission. Find out more at angels2marketplace.com. The Southern Arizona Watercolor Guild presents the Color My World Show, online now through December 6th. Don Andrews was the adjudicator with a video describing the winning paintings on the Guild's website, along with all the pieces in the show and purchase information. Check it out at southernazwatercolorguild.com. Join the conversation of conceptual photographer Kali Spitzer, working in film during a virtual art talk with the Heard Museum Fine Arts curator Aaron Joyce on Wednesday, December 2nd at 5 p.m. The live discussion will explore Spitzer's work documenting indigenous practices using 35mm to large formats and a wet plate process. Her work is featured in the Heard Museum's latest exhibition. Buy tickets and get details at heard.org. There's music in the air this month and in December as the Nash brings Nash Under the Stars, a concert series in the garden of the Arizona Jewish Historical Society up the street from the Jazz Club in downtown Phoenix. Enjoy the hot Latin jazz and salsa music of Carmela y Mas, plus swing, blues, pop, and R&B of We Three, featuring Renee Patrick, Sheila Early, Suzanne Lansford, and Nicole Pesci, and much more in weekend concerts with matinee, sunset, and evening shows. There is seating at the venue for 50 guests, as well as live-stream simulcast tickets to enjoy concerts at home. Guests will be distanced at a minimum of 8 feet from other parties. Current COVID-19 guidelines with respect to masks, health screening, and sanitizing procedures are being followed or exceeded. Beer, wine, and soft drinks are available for purchase, and no outside food or drinks are permitted. Tickets are available at thenash.org. Another virtual theatrical music event is Songs for a New World, presented by the Southern Arizona Performing Arts Company. It's described as a theatrical song cycle about the moments that upend our lives, reimagined through the lens of our current pandemic. Filmed entirely in isolation, a multi-ethnic cast comes together virtually to deliver a score that runs the gamut of today's popular music, including pop, gospel, and jazz. It will be held online from 2 to 4 p.m., Saturday, November 21st, and tickets are $27. Visit sapactucson.org for specifics. The Musical Instrument Museum has reopened, and exhibits include Congo masks and music, masterpieces from Central Africa. This display offers a glimpse into the dramatic and lively masquerade traditions of Central Africa, with more than 150 masks, instruments, and costumes displayed together in their authentic performance contexts. In addition, kids' activities include the online MIM Kids Mini Music Makers. It's a 30-minute Zoom class exploring music through song, dance, and play, using everyday household items with your little ones from birth to 5 years of age. Get all the details at MIM.org. Some theaters are moving productions outdoors this season, including Child's Play, as the company presents A Christmas Carol, November 28th through December 23rd. One of the Valley's most celebrated actresses, Katie McFadden, brings Charles Dickens' holiday classic to life at the Herberger Theater Center's outdoor stage in downtown Phoenix. McFadden also adapted the story for the stage with Matthew Weiner and performs the beloved tale of Scrooge, Tiny Tim, and the Ghosts of Christmas Past, Present, and Future as a one-person show. Recommended for ages 10 and older. Visit childsplayaz.org for ticket information. It's drive-in theater for Tucson's Live Theater Workshop as they present 2 upcoming productions. Having Our Say is a story of our nation's history over the past 100 years, told through the eyes of 2 African-American women who are 103 and 101 years old as they celebrate their father's birthday. It runs November 19th through December 6th, with no show on Thanksgiving Day. Then it's Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, a Christmas sing-along tradition for 2 weekends, December 11th through 20th. Dance, sing, and rock and roll while you help save the holidays. For the drive-in theater, cars will be parked at least 6 feet apart, and audio for the show will be transmitted through your radio into your car. Concessions are not available for purchase on site, but you can pre-order candy, sodas, and popcorn ahead of time, which will be delivered to your car. For specific times and to buy ticket and snack packages, visit livetheaterworkshop.org. Songs from mega musicals are on tap for Peoria's Arizona Broadway Theater in November and December, with a tribute to the holidays, along with screenings of musical movies and Broadway and bingo. In an interactive cabaret-style event, the bingo numbers called determine the Broadway song list, and prizes will be awarded November 20th and 21st. On December 2nd, watch Meet Me in St. Louis with Judy Garland, a classic MGM romantic musical comedy that focuses on 4 sisters at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. Then on December 3rd, an intimate cabaret-style concert showcases outstanding local musicians in Arizona Broadway's Encore Room. Hear holiday classics by a piano-vocal duo. Visit azbroadway.org for ticket prices and show times. The grand opening show for the Prescott Center for the Arts PCA Cabaret is called Start of Something New. We're back, November 18th through 22nd. The musical review was written by AZ Creates' first guest, Pam Kennedy, along with Scott Neese, and will be performed by a small troupe. The show will be in the remodeled PCA main stage, where the theater seating has been removed and replaced with small socially distanced tables and chairs. Food and beverages will be served. For the show times and tickets, visit pca-az.net. With the holidays approaching, these events are ideal for the whole family. So be sure to contact these events regarding dates, ticket prices, showtimes, or cancellations through their websites. Do you have a holiday event coming up? Then email us at azcreates.artonlineaz@gmail.com. And we wish you and your family a safe and happy Thanksgiving. That's definitely something to look forward to.
Thanks, Kathy, and we're so thankful to have you on board on AZ Creates. AZ Creates is sponsored by the Santan Sun News, a twice-monthly community publication with a circulation of more than 35,000 serving the residents of southern Chandler. Owned and operated by the Times Media Group, the Santan Sun News includes relentlessly local coverage of community, business, arts, youth, and much more news and information. Read it online at www.santansun.com. On the next AZ Creates, we'll feature Robert DIEPENBROCK as our creative connection. He's a Renaissance man who has been a director, actor, and film special effects creator, among many other creative ventures. In What Are You Reading, we'll hear from romantic suspense author and scriptwriter Karen Muller-Bryson. As we come to the end of another episode of AZ Creates, we are so thankful to you for watching. Our quote today is from Oprah Winfrey. Of course, she's a talk show host, television producer, actress, author, and philanthropist who says, "Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough." Again, thank you for watching. What did you think of the show? Please leave us some comments below. And you can become one of our subscribers by clicking on the red subscribe box, and if you click on the bell, it will notify you when new content is being shared here. And speaking of sharing, 'tis the season. We invite you to share this program with other artists, art patrons, friends, family, anybody around the world who are looking for some more positive programming these days. And if you're on Facebook and Instagram, we also promote fine art and fine artists on Art Online AZ. So please like our Art Online AZ pages there, because we tell our social media friends also about a lot of upcoming events in the state of Arizona. You know, while the year 2020 has had so many challenges with the pandemic, a contentious election, a divided nation, we hope you will take a few moments to give thanks for what you do have, and if you have plenty, maybe reach a hand out to somebody else who does not have as much. Meanwhile, stay healthy and safe and make it a creative day. See you next time.